Hello and welcome to this week's Hobbytime at Healys video. Thank you very much for tuning in. As the title suggests, this week we're going to be talking about what happens if you find yourself in a hobby funk and a few tips to get yourself out of it and back on the hobby train. So grab yourself a lovely cuppa and let's dive on in. Now let's face it, we've all been there. You've got your paints ready, your water pot, your brushes, your miniatures there, but something is just stopping you from actually sitting down at your desk or hobby station and cracking on. This is what we call a hobby funk. Now it can happen from when you want to build miniatures, when you want to write lists, when you want to paint, basically anything, and it's fine, it's okay. You know, we've all been there. I mean, come on, we're all human. You can't put 110% into every single thing you do all of the time. You'll eventually burn yourself out. So it's really key to take some time, and when you do get into one of these hobby funks, and the first step to get yourself out of it is really simple, and it's acknowledging that you're in a hobby funk, and that's okay. Don't be disappointed or annoyed or frustrated at yourself, because you'll just continue that vicious cycle of being in that hobby funk and not getting anything done. Then you start to get angry at yourself and annoyed because you've spent money on something and you're not doing anything about it. And then you might get frustrated at something else because it's not giving you the time you need to do it. And this vicious cycle of negative energy and thoughts are things that you need to really bust out of. And that's why you need to know it's okay if you're in one of these funks. Honestly, it is. So many other people are probably going through this right now with their own hobby, and you're just not aware of it. So now that you've acknowledged and accepted the fact that you're in a hobby funk, what to do next? How do you get yourself out of it? Well, I would say the first thing to do is take some time. And you probably think it's a little bit counterproductive because you want to get back into doing the hobby and you want to get back into painting your miniatures, finishing that project, finish building that frustratingly difficult model. But the first thing you need to do is take a step back and realise, actually, I need to take a bit of time away from the desk. You need to step back from painting and just generally just take some time for yourself. So taking that step back and allocating your time elsewhere to get yourself and your head back on track isn't a bad thing to do. If I find myself getting frustrated at the miniatures desk and thinking, I just can't seem to get this colour scheme right, or why won't this model just go together the way I want it to? So I'll take a step back and I will then focus on something else. I will shift my attention to something else for a change. Whether that is cooking. I love cooking, so I'll go and whip something up in the kitchen. Whether that's going out for a run, doing some exercise, just simply going for a walk, going and catching up with some friends, or even something as easy as sitting down and reading the book, or turning on the PS4, Xbox, whatever, PC and playing some games. There's a lot of other things out there that you can do to unwind and relax, and acknowledging the fact that sometimes taking a step back from one of your hobbies to engage in something else isn't a bad thing at all. And then when you find yourself relaxed and you've a bit more peace of mind, go back to your project and dive straight in. And a lot of the time, that little time that you've taken back, whether it's a few hours, a day or so, even, you could even go and sleep, wake up in the morning and you're really invigorated. That can be enough to just re-energize you and get you back on that hobby train. Sometimes though, I have to admit, that isn't enough. And you need that little other kickstart just to get you back into that hobby mentality. So that's where some of these tips are going to come in for you. First off, find out what it is that actually got you involved into this project. So whether it is a new codex, a particular story, a conversation with your friends, a colour scheme that inspired you. Something has triggered in your mind, and piqued your interest and got you involved in this project that you're invested in. So go back to that root. This is a really key thing that I think people need to do, and that is go back to the lore. Whether it's a Black Library book, books, could be a graphic novel, could be a codex, whether it's 40k, Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, anything. Something got you invested and interested in this hobby project. So go back and reread it, reinvigorate yourself in it, immerse yourself back into what got you excited about it, and you'll find that actually that might kickstart those creative juices going for you to get you right back into doing your hobby. So you've immersed yourself in the lore, you've rested up, and you think, right, I'm ready to go and tackle, but something's still not clicking. It's just not quite where you want to be. And you're just like, why? Why can't I get this colour scheme right? Why can't I, get this miniature together? Easiest thing then to do is do what I like to call a palette cleanser. This is where you work on something completely different. Something just for you, just for fun. Now, commission painters out there that I know use this technique quite a lot. Sometimes you can get bogged down in just working commissions and commissions and commissions, and you find yourselves in a position where you're meeting so many deadlines, you almost are losing the enjoyment you have out of actually painting. So they'll work on something just for themselves, just a little something, just to give themselves that little boost again. And this is what I call a palette cleanser. One of my most recent palette cleansers was I'm currently working on a project of Necrons, which are predominantly white, blue, brass, copper, those sort of colours. Tricky colours to paint with for me, and very different to anything that I've actually painted before. And as much as I love the colour scheme, I'll be honest with you, it's frustrating. Painting white is one of those colours where no matter what I seem to do, sometimes you just have those days where it all goes wrong. So I decided to take a step back and paint something completely and utterly different. So my palette cleanser was this. Now this is a great fun miniature. It's got some blue, it's got some orange on it. I did a bit of fun checkerboard on the basing, and it's got a funky party hat. This was literally a marine I had with a 3D printed head I've been gifted by a friend, and it's literally just a bit of fun. I'm never going to use this guy on the tabletop. I think he's really, really good fun. He let me explore some new colours that I'd not really used before. I'd not done the quartering technique either, so this was great fun for me to do. And that was it really. It was just something just to take my mind off working on those colours I was doing and the very detailed work I was getting myself through. And I did something for fun, something that sits on the side that gives me a smile whenever I see it. So having that type of palette cleanser can really, really help you. But sometimes painting isn't always the best one for you. Other times you need to stay back, and if you're having a difficult paint session, moving your painting stuff to one side, cracking out the clippers and throwing something new together is a brilliant way as well. Because when you are building and assembling, your creative juices start flowing immediately because you're achieving something. By putting that miniature together and thinking to yourself, oh, I'm going to get this done. When I get this done, I'm going to paint it. Oh, I can't. What colour should I prime it? After I prime it, should I wash it? Should I do this? And that immediately gets you back into that mindset. Gives you that little creative nudge just in the right direction. Plus, the advantage of building a miniature is exactly that. You complete it. You complete a task. And sometimes if you're facing a really tough, tricky paint, and you just get to that stage where I'm not going to get this done. I don't think I'm going to achieve this. Why am I going to do this? You can find by simply achieving a task such as building a miniature, you get that little kind of hit where you go, I've done this, I've ticked this off, I can do this, I've achieved one thing, I'm now going to go back to it because I know that I can get something finished. And a lot of the time, that can just be the little kick you need to give you that mental stimulation to fly forward with your project. Another way to give you a lift if you're finding yourself in a hobby funk is the community. There is an untapped, amazing, wonderful resource out there of fellow hobbyists who are in the exact same space you are, or are in that mid-flow of being super creative and productive. This community out there is fantastic. So log on to Instagram, check out people on Twitter, look at people on Facebook. Use social media massively to your advantage. If you want to watch something while you do it, you've got YouTube, you've got Twitch, you've got all these fantastic sources out there that I could literally sit here and name for hours and hours and hours. That where there are people who are getting the hobby done. And a lot of the time, especially for me, I find myself being the most productive when I'm around people in the community, when I'm hobbying with my friends, when we all sit down, set up our paint stations and play. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's tricky at the moment. With the way the world is, not everybody can meet up. But if you have the technology to go online and watch something on YouTube, you've also got that technology to be able to video call a friend. And that is always a fantastic way to do it. If you can't meet up with people physically, try to meet up with them virtually. Have a conversation, show them your miniatures. Say, hey, what do you think of this colour scheme? What do you think I should do to this? They'll probably really appreciate it as well. Set up a time, arrange a meeting just as you would, by popping down to your local store and hanging out and using the stations there. Set aside that time to do it with your friends as well, just virtually. Because you'll have that wonderful advantage of seeing your friends and communicating, and when you're around people who are in that like-minded state where they want to get a hobby done, and these are the people who are going to see your miniatures, who are going to play your games with, who have helped maybe inspire you to get to this list, even give you that little competitive streak of going, nah, you beat me last time, I want to beat you again now. That sort of stuff is what gets you going. And taking it back to those basics of the hobby and what got you to this space in the first place to start this project, be it lore, friends, a paint scheme, anything. Strip it back to that. because that's going to give you the ultimate boost to get back out on track and out of your hobby funk. So just to recap for you, if you find yourself in a hobby funk, take a step back, acknowledge that you're in a funk, and understand that it's not a bad thing to be in a funk. Then take some time to do something else that you enjoy, whether that's playing some video games, reading a book, going for a walk. Just take a step back. That's not a bad thing to walk away from some hobby just for a few hours or even a day or two. That can help just reinvigorate you, because hobbying can take a lot out of you and you need to recharge your own batteries as well. So if you've taken a step back and now recharged your batteries, get yourself back onto the lore. Find out what it was that got you inspired for your current project, be it codexes, stories, audio books, hardbacks, softbacks, whatever it is, whatever your medium is to get involved and immersed in the lore, go back to it and take that time to get yourself going. Have a palette cleanser available. This could be something as painting a different miniature, building a different miniature, or doing something completely different from the project you're working on now. And take that step back and do something just for you, just for a bit of fun, because that can really help. And don't forget, reach out to the community. There's a fantastic community out there. And jump onto any of the social media that you use and just speak to people. Scroll through Instagram, look at what other people are doing. And don't be annoyed that these people are being super productive and going through it, because they're probably have been in the exact same position you are. I know I have. I find myself in a hobby funk probably more often than I realise. But taking these steps, for me, helped me get back on the track. And there we have it. So I really hope that this video has given you all some tips and also a bit of realisation that other people go through hobby funks as well. And it's a perfectly okay thing. You're human. You need to sit back, recharge your batteries. And fingers crossed that these tips actually help you out and get you back on your hobby track. Because for me, I want to see all of your beautiful, wonderful, painted, built, converted, crazy miniatures out there in the world, because they really are making it a brighter place. What a lot of people don't realise is that your miniature that you post on social media, that dice throw that you have with your friends, that all those epic and amazing moments that happen are inspiring people every single moment of every day that you do these things. You may not see it. You may not see this post that you put on Instagram, this tweet you put out with a meme, or even that game that you have with your friends, or that player down at a local tournament, anything. All of that stuff is inspiring. And you need to remember that it is you, people like you, who make this community the great, fantastic and welcoming place that it is. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember, if you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button and the little notification bell as well to keep you up to date whenever I post any videos. As always, we have our streams every Sunday, so come, hang out, chill, hit us up in the chat. We're always keen for more people to come and join us. And if you want to check out any of my other social medias, so hit that link down below in the description and you'll see everything available for you. So please check them out. So thank you very much, and remember folks, be a hobby ambassador, not a hobby gatekeeper. Stay positive, people. Bye bye.